Hello, friends, and welcome back to another episode of Barriers and Boundaries Resilience Leadership. And it is my joy today to present to you the guest, Ken Rusk, author of Blue Collar Cash. What a story he's got. I love that his story is intertwined with the book as well. And we'll get into all that. But first off, I just want to say hi, Ken. How are you doing today?
Great, EB. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, great to have you here and going through your book and just picking up like your story through this. It's very impressive. You're making that connection with what you've experienced and just ways that really taught you a lot about yourself and about the world and about how to engage with it. And man, where do we even start with that? Thank you for being here. It is a joy, and I say that honestly. I appreciate you being here today.
I guess you could accuse me of being a blue collar entrepreneur of sorts. I started when I was very young. We all had part time jobs, and I loved it. I loved having part time jobs because I could trade labor for things. You know what I mean? So I remember I wanted my first aluminum baseball bat. That's when they first came out. So I'm dating myself, but I traded labor for that thing. And I thought that was so cool. And when I was 15, my high school shared a fence with an industrial park. And we used to cut through a hole in that fence after school to go to the carry out and hang out. And I just remember a lot of businesses were hustling and bustling in that industrial park, and I wanted my first full time job. Wanted to buy my first new used car and take my girlfriend out for pizza, whatever, right? And so I remember I went up to one of these businesses, and they were backhoes and tow motors and dump trucks and big boy grown up toys. So I asked them what they did, and they said we dig ditches. I said, well, I'm wholly qualified for that. And it just went from there. So I did that in the summertime. In the wintertime, I worked in the office after school. And when it came time to go to college, it was either do I do that, do I not? They offered me a job opening franchises around the country. And I did that for 4 or 5 years. Columbus, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, moved around Chicago. And then I got tired of living out of a suitcase, moved to my place where I am now in Toledo, Ohio, and opened up a company with 6 people in 1986, and we have 200 or so today. So it's been a hell of a ride.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. I think I remember you were 15 or so when you started digging ditches. And
Yeah. It was something I always liked being outside. I liked working with my hands. I knew that I wouldn't be. I mean, I was a good high school student, but I wasn't going to be a good college student. I wanted to get going with my life. I wanted to get out there and doing things and starting. I mean, I had small landscape companies where I had 2 or 3 employees when I was 16, 17 years old. So it was cool to see how that could happen. And I just wanted to jump right into that. So that's what I did.
one of the things captured in the book was you're not bashing college. You're not going after anybody that's pursuing higher education. You're not being pessimistic, not even like optimistic. You're just a realistic view of what's taking place. Is that an accurate
No, yeah.
description?
I mean, I look at it this way. There's 167 million people considered full employment in the United States today. 77 million of those people, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and yes, I went through all of them and I looked at them all. 77 million people, or roughly half of that number, do something with their hands. So if the supply and demand requires that half the country do something from a white collar standpoint and half the country do something from a blue collar standpoint, why on earth are we trying to shove everybody into white collar positions? It just doesn't make any sense. So for me, college is for the college specific career. If you want to be a surgeon, you go to med school. If you want to be a lawyer, you go to law school. If you want to be an engineer, you go to engineering school. That to me makes sense because when you come out, you have a job that's specific to why you went. The rest of these schools where you're learning European language translation or your liberal arts or the history of Greek architecture. I mean, what are you going to how are you going to sell those degrees? How are you going to market yourself with those degrees? So, all I'm saying is if you're going to school for a specific reason, for a specific outcome, then fine. If you're just going to play beer pong for 4 years and rack up a bunch of debt, there's a lot of better ways to make a living and to start your life. I'm just trying to get the pendulum to swing back towards the middle, which is a balanced economy where there's plenty of supply of people to do all the things that we need to do. Because right now it's college or flipping burgers, and that's a lie. It's never been true, and it's certainly not true today, especially with what we have, what the needs we have going on right now.
There's a lot of truth in that. And I love the connection. When did that click for you?
Well, for me, it was simple. I've probably hired over 2,000 people in my career, and I could see a shift in how prepared and how ready 18, 19-year-olds were more in recent years as compared to how they were prepared, 10, 20 years ago. And it's a different human being. I was actually thinking, why are we not preparing these kids to think better so they make better decisions? What we're saying is, we're going to take care of you for 12 years, and then you're going to go to another place where we're going to take care of you for 4 more years. And that never builds an independent thinker that way, EB. I mean, you're not teaching kids how to solve problems. You're not teaching kids how to manage their money. You're not teaching kids how to visualize their future, for God's sake. What you're teaching them is, well, you better go to college so that you get a good job. And then when you make money, someday you'll get to live. No, that's not how it works. You have to look at how you want your life to look like now and then pick one of the hundreds of paths there are to get there. Because in the end, living well is always the best revenge. I mean, living the way you want to live is the ultimate goal, the ultimate nirvana. And I'm just saying, don't let societal norms or the herd mentality cloud that vision for your future. Because if you do, you're liable to be 4 years in, a lot of debt, and a degree you can't use. And then now what? You're paying for something you can't. I mean, if it was a business model, colleges would go bankrupt because if you sold a product that only a third of the people ever used, your company couldn't exist. And yet that's what's happening in colleges today. So I think we've kind of oversold it. And I think we need to get back to the balance.
I appreciate you saying that, and the connection with not walking down this journey alone. Like I feel like you have this desire, like, look, I'll walk beside you, I'll coach you, I'll let this book be, a good guide. And I love the aspect of securing your future, but finding happiness at the same time. It's not like one or the other in your message.
Yeah, I think that's very important because I look at it this way. So I think every one of us knows how to anticipate a vacation. You plan for it, you get the tickets, you get the plane, you get the hotel reservations, you get the restaurant reservations, then you start dreaming about it. In April, okay, let's say it's January. In April, I'm going to go on spring break. I'm going to go to the beach in Florida. I'm going to put my feet in the sand. I'm going to hear the ocean roar, feel the breeze in my face, the sun with the palm trees, and my margarita and my bathing suit and my beach chair. And I'm going to put the number 8 copper tone suntan lotion on. And we all know what that smells like, right? So if we're all good at planning and anticipating vacations, EB, why can't we be good at planning every other aspect of our life? Our next house, our next car, our next pet, our next charitable donation, our next hobby or sport. Okay, the way we see ourselves, the health that we take ourselves through, health moments. I just think that if we're so good at anticipating that one event, which only lasts 7 days in a week of 52 or a year of 52 weeks, why aren't we planning things 6 months, 16 months, 6 years, 16 years down the road, and then just living it and anticipating multiple things all at the same time? That's what the book does. The book gets you to anticipate multiple things over many years all at the same time. And the cool thing about that is, when you anticipate something, there's another human being that powers you along that path. It's called your subconscious. And when it starts to see pictures of things that it wants, and it starts to put those into reality, and then it automatically clicks your body into this chase mode where now you're chasing these things down and you don't even realize it, but you have a whole nother side of your brain that's working that didn't work before or didn't work very well. And all I'm saying is, if you're going to go through 90 years on the planet, you might as well be as powerful a person as you can be. And why not use all that side of your brain that most people don't ever use?
And as someone going through a career change myself, done a lot of interviews over the last month, I have found they really are looking for people that can just think through things really well.
Yeah, when you think of the word think, okay, I'm kind of a wordsmith. So I love breaking words down that we use every day. So if you think about the word think, it's the same thing as when somebody says to you at the end of every sentence, do you see what I mean, Evie? I mean, do you see what I mean? What they're trying to get you to do is they're trying to get you to see the pictures that they have in their head. I'm trying to portray an idea to you right now. And then at the end of that sentence, I'm going to say, EB, do you see what I mean? And I'm asking you to look into my head and see the same pictures that I'm seeing right now. Well, that's what thinking is. Thinking is nothing more than looking inward and looking for pathways to solve things or pictures to help you visualize solving things. And so an interviewer says to you, "Tell me about the last problem that you faced, and how did you think your way through it?" What they're asking is, how did you plot your pathway, and what pictures did you create in your mind along the way to get that accomplished? And really, what they want to know is, do you have the ability to see beyond just the norm and the now? Do you have the ability to visualize and picture things going forward? Because that is a skill that we all have, but not many people practice. It's software that's already downloaded in your brain, but if you never hit that button, you're never going to open it up. And so that's why that question's become so much more popular.
I discuss a lot of barriers and boundaries, helping people try to pursue things that they want to pursue as well. And there was the goal setting aspect of your book. I feel like that's a really healthy boundary from a personal standpoint, how well you want to live your life. Can you share more about that setting your goals that you wrote about?
I practice this with all 200 people here, and that is, I think goal is another one of those words that's one of the most overused words in the English language because it has so many different meanings. A field goal, I'm going to set a goal, I kicked a goal, I bought a new goal for my backyard. I mean, there's all these different types of goals, and all of those things are intentions. Okay. So whenever I just gave a speech in North Dakota 3 weeks ago to a bunch of road builders. And one of the things that I had them do is I had them say, I want you to drop the word goal from your vocabulary, because goals are hopes, wishes, and dreams. And I don't mind hopes, wishes, and dreams as long as there's an action plan to follow that. Okay. So I asked them to replace the word goal with timed pathway, meaning I want you to say, I have a timed pathway to go golfing in Scotland in 2026. Because then I'll ask you, well, what is the timed pathway? If you just say, yeah, I hope to golf in Scotland in 2026, you're going to go, yeah, okay, whatever. Everybody hopes that. Okay, next, right? So it's not effective enough. It's not clear enough. The way we do it here is you have to first off congratulate yourself that you're now a person who's going to use the side of your brain that most people don't. Like you're congratulating yourself for being a non-smoker, or I'm not going to be an overweight person anymore. I'm going to be an in shape person, whatever. You have to change your mindset and embrace the new you. The second step is you need to just clearly identify what it is you want, down to the color, the texture, the dimension, the specification, the horsepower if necessary. I want to know everything about what you want to bring into your life. I want a clear picture of what that is. And then you break that thing down, the acquisition of it, into a bunch of pieces, whether it's weeks or months or years. It could be something that's going to cost you $5,000. So if you save, I don't know, $50 a week, that's going to be 2 years. Okay.
Yeah.
Or if $100 a week is going to be 1 year, whatever. You break that down into pieces and parts that are achievable, because as you see, this is the anticipation part. And then the fourth step is you go into your payroll clerk or whoever you have and you say, start deducting this from my check, put it into that account. I don't want access to it. I don't want to see it. Now that's action. It's live. And then the last thing is you tell somebody about it. Tell somebody that you love and that you respect and that respects you and won't sabotage you and wants you to hit this thing as much as you do, whatever it is, and then live it. Just breathe, get up every day and do your thing, and it's going to happen. So you're turning an if goal into a when goal by changing it from goal to timed pathway. Okay. And so
Yeah.
that's what I think is really important, because most people, they stay in goal land, but they never get to the timed pathway land. And therefore they never achieve it because no one ever hit the submit button. They window shopped, but they never hit go. And
Yeah,
therein lies.
and you shared that story about Tim in the book where it's like, and that final step was he worked the plan.
Right. Exactly. I mean, if you think about somebody like Tim, he was my first one. He's the first person I ever coached, ever. He's
Hmm.
he's also my third employee, and he's still here today, 38 years later, and
That's
he's
awesome.
he's still visualizing things. I mean, he's on his third house already. He takes vacations all the time. He's in a new pickup truck every 3 years. I mean, he's loving his life. He's got his kids, his wife, great family. He's doing his hobbies. He's got a side gig for his wife. Um, finding old antique furniture, so now they have something they do together. So he gives to charity, and he's taking care of his body, and he's healthy, and he's got sports, and it's just a complete human being. EB is really what it is. It's the whole person. And as a business owner, why would you not want to have the whole person working there rather than just the 1/3 of the 8 hours you get in a day where they have 8 hours to sleep and then they have 8 hours of something else that you don't know about? I like to hire the whole human being. And so when you come to work here, we like to know what you want your life to look like, and then we help you get there.
I often say, I have a book, and one of the things I say is healthy employees create healthy organizations. And I feel like that was one of the pieces that I really connected with you and your book was you're going to get so much out of people when they're healthy and when they're happy, when they're pursuing their times, pathways. So I just really connected with that. And that's, I really wanted to champion that message that you have out there.
Yeah, sometimes I throw the word selfish out, and people have to always clarify. I want selfish people, not at the selfish meaning at the detriment of others. I'm talking about people that are working on themselves. Because here's what happens. If I have a very healthy person who is selfish, meaning they're working on their own puzzle that is their life, and they can see that very clearly, they're going to work very hard to get what they want for themselves first and for the company second. But that's okay because now we're on parallel tracks. The company has its goals, the individual has his or her goals. Those things align. They just cruise right in parallel, right down the road, and they happen at the same time. They evolve over time. But the cool thing is if my employees are winning, the company's winning every time. Not sometimes, but every time. Because they couldn't accomplish what they want for themselves without creating results. And those results show within the company. So basically, what you just said, happy, healthy, driven, focused people will always make the same thing in a company because the consummation of all that collective effort does nothing but drive positivity and drive great results.
As a business owner, uh, how does resilience come into play when you think about the resilience of your employees, but also like the resilience of the business itself?
Well, that's a great question. So I think almost every entrepreneur has probably 9 characteristics. And I talk about those in Blue Collar Cash, whether it's persistence, resilience, faith, courage, humility, initiative, vision, being generous. I mean, all those kinds of things. But when it comes to resilience, the more driven somebody is towards gaining that puzzle box. And what I mean by the puzzle box is this. So you have a 1,000-piece puzzle and you lay the pieces on the table. If I took the puzzle box cover away, you'd have a really hard time making that puzzle, right? But if I put the puzzle box there, you're now going to look at that puzzle box to see the picture on the cover, and you're going to start creating this puzzle. I'm telling you that I think to build a 1,000-piece puzzle, you're probably looking at the puzzle box 100,000 times minimum, right? Get a piece, look at the box, get a piece, look at the box, look at the box, look at the box, get another piece, look at the box, color. You're doing it constantly. Why are you not doing that with your own life, right? Mm-hmm. So when it comes to resilience, the more you build the frame and the more you start filling in this puzzle because you're building your own life, the tougher you become when you face obstacles. Because you're like, I ain't letting this obstacle get in the way of my success. I'm not letting this obstacle get in the way of me putting some more puzzle pieces into my life puzzle, if you will, my life drawing. I'm not doing that. So the individual gets tougher and so does the business because you've got a bunch of tough people working within it.
And I want to double down on that what you just said. This is a podcast about resilience and leadership, maintaining a clear picture, maintaining focus, staying connected to that. You have that puzzle box cover. Hopefully, you have that puzzle box cover. That's where it starts, right?
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's like anything else. I think if there's a mission, like in the military, if there's a mission, that objective and the goal and the picture and the end game, it has to be clearly defined because if it's not, at the first sign of adversity, the mission gets tossed off its core target. And that's why I think it's so important. Why aren't we using these? I mean, military missions and military planning have been in play for hundreds of, not thousands of years if you go back wars that were before even the United States was around. Why are we not learning from those lessons and we're trying to come up with all these other new ways to be successful Just learn from what's already there. Use your head, get the vision out in front of you. Your mind will kick into a whole nother gear once it sees something clearly. Rely upon the power of that computer that's above your shoulders, and it's free,
Yeah.
requires no training, and just let that power drag you through life. I mean, it'll push you through life, it'll pick you up when you fall down, it'll straighten you out when you get sideways. Let the power work for you. It's an amazing thing. It's worked for me my whole life, and for certainly countless others that I've been involved with.
And it's easy to get sidetracked by some adversity. But like you're saying, like you have something that helps you see past the adversity, then know where it's still headed. And I think one of the key aspects there is just acknowledging that adversity is going to take place. You're going to struggle with things. There's going to be times where things don't make sense, but you have to keep that focus past that.
Well, and that's why I used in Blue Collar Cash in the goal setting part. That's why I used sharing the goal as my final step. Because if I started with that, it would lose its punch by the time we got to the end. Because in my opinion, you can plan all you want and you can have that very clear and you can have the best intentions. But I think whether it's someone else in your on your squad or someone else on your team or someone else in your office or someone else in your family, they need to be there with their hand on your shoulder when and if you stumble. And we all are going to stumble, and you're going to have your hand on their shoulder when they do it. But I think it's very, very important that as a mission, as this whole core value thing moves forward, that everyone is looking forward at the end game. You don't even go to the store without planning. All right. I got to get out of bed. I got to get dressed. I got to be presentable. I got to get in my car. I got to take a bunch of roads, and those roads lead to a store. And there's something at the store that I want. You're beginning with, if you're going for, let's say you're going to buy, I don't know, something to cook on the grill. You're beginning with your mind cooking it on the grill, and you're backing it all the way up to, I got to go shopping today. We do it already in every aspect of life. And almost anything you do, you see it before you do it. Why are we not doing that for our life planning? That's the question I always ask.
Underestimated for sure the skills that we already have and being able to tap into that. And is it hard? Have you found that it's hard for people just to reflect and just acknowledge what they actually know how to do something that they didn't realize they knew how to do it?
No, it's really enlightening. There's light bulbs that go off. I'll tell you a quick story. Actually, I wrote about her in the book. So I have this big goal board in the hallway. It's a big black glass goal board with these neon markers. It almost looks like a margarita special of the day menu at a Mexican restaurant. But there's all these goals written all over it. And all these goals and start dates, end dates, the specific pathway, the steps, and then the signature. And then there's a bunch of completed goals on the other board that people have done already. And I was working with someone on a goal, and this gal came down the hallway that she was newer. Her name's Kiara. And she said, wow, it's really cool that you do that for your employees. Someday I'm going to put my goal up on that board. And I said, the person I was working with looked at her and said, you did not just say the word someday in front of Ken, did you? And she said, well, yeah. So I said, not someday. How about today? So it was Friday. I said, I'll give you the weekend, but you're coming in on Monday and you're going to have a goal. And she did. She came in on Monday and she said it always bothered her that she never paid off her father for borrowing $2,500 for a used car that she had bought. And I said to her, well, can you afford like $48 a week? And she said, well, yeah, I can do that. And I said, well, good. You'll have them paid off in a year. And she looked at me like I just invented penicillin, EB. It was the weirdest thing. But then she realized how true it was. And a month in, and then 6 months in, and then 8 months in, she's like, oh my God, this is really happening. And now she got married and paid for it. She's got 2 kids. She's bought at least one house. She's bought a couple of new cars. She turned into this goal-oriented machine, but she turned into a self-managing goal-oriented person. So, I mean, I'm not chasing her anymore to say, hey, what's your next goal? She's already got them up on the board before I even ask. And that's the point of the leadership part of this for your audience is you want to make this as easy on you as possible. You want to make it as much of an automatic process as possible. And that's the way to do it. Get them hooked on their own mini successes and then get out of the way because they're going to do great things for you.
Actually, I think that's a great point to focus on that. Let the snowball roll down the hill and build momentum and grow and let things start clicking. And Ken, I appreciate your time, and I definitely encourage those who are listening or watching to get Blue Collar Cash. And man, what a gem that is! I appreciate you. I appreciate you writing that and getting that word out there. I'm
Well,
glad
thank
it
you.
clicked for you.
Yeah, it's been great. I even actually got to the point where I said, I don't want this book to become someone told me the other day. They said shelf help versus self help. I wanted this book to be real for people. So I built this course, and it's only 8 weeks. It's a 1 45-minute session per week. There's 8 sessions. It's all online. It's video. I take you through it on video. It takes the concepts from the book and it forces you to get going. So when you start this course, your life will change that afternoon. I'm this isn't about money for me. I donate the money from the courses to charity. Like I have my own foundation. I also donate this course and its material to underprivileged kids and Gold Star families and whatnot. But it's literally $179. You get a free book with it, and just know that if you decide to do that, if you decide to really get involved and actually help yourself, you're going to be helping someone else in the process that you might never meet. But we'll get that information for free. So
Yeah, I
pretty
love
cool.
that. And kenrusk.com.
That's all at kenrusk.com. Yeah.
Yeah, great. Ken, I appreciate it. Any closing remarks as we wrap up today? I am so grateful that you are able to come on the show today and share your
Yeah,
message.
the only thing I will say is I'll get back to this. You and only you know what your favorite everything is in your life. You and only you can draw the picture of what you want your life to look like. You and only you know all the things that you would like to see. Man, if I could live like that, that would be really cool. Well, what is the that? Is it a picture? What's it look like? Draw all those things out, and you'll learn how to do that in the course. Stop listening to the herd mentality. This is your life. You and only you know how you want to live it. Make the decision to be you and to be the best you can be. And if that involves me helping you, that's great. If not, figure out a way because you only got one life to live. So get after it.
I love it. All right. Thanks so much, Ken.
You're welcome.
All right, my friends, that was Ken Rusk with Blue Collar Cast. Go to kenrusk.com, check out his book, check out the modules that he was talking about. He works you through the book and just great insights along the way. He's going to help you learn. He's going to help you develop thinking and just how to engage with really what is important for you in life. And we're going to keep pushing here, keep striving for resilience, keep fighting for it. And until next time, EB out here.